You're listening to the official podcast for the Games Institute. We are a multidisciplinary research center located at the University of Waterloo, studying all things games and interactive technologies.
One by one, we'll sit down with our researchers to talk about what they're studying and what they're playing. No jargon, no word counts, just the cool stuff.
Welcome back to the Games Institute podcast. I'm your host, Marisa Benjamin.
And I'm your co-host, Tobin Rossico.
Today, Tobin and I are sitting here with Sid Heeg.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Oh,
Thanks
thank
for
you for
being
coming.
here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, let's start with our icebreaker question because lately we've been forgetting to ask it. So,
Great.
What is your earliest childhood memory of gaming?
Oh, of gaming. Okay, so we used to have two computers in the farmhouse where I grew up. The upstairs computer was more for business. It was for farm management, accounting, and whatnot. So it was usually my mom's computer, so we weren't really allowed on that one. But then we had a spare computer just downstairs, and we would be able to do any of our games down there. And we just had a few on the CD-ROM that we would play. And the most common one was Sim Farm. Okay, listen, legit, that is probably one of the best sim games out there. I still want a copy of Sim Farm.
Is it Sims on the farm?
No, it's just Sim
It's like
Farm.
simulator.
It's farming simulator,
Oh.
but it's
It's not
top
the
down.
Sims, yeah.
And you can like make a farm. Like managing your funds comes up a lot in that game because it's like if you don't manage your funds, the bank will come in and foreclose on your farm and all of your land will disappear.
So you're doing a farming simulator while on a farm.
Listen, farming games are actually quite addictive. Like, if you just think about Farmville and how that kind of took over Facebook, like, there is something very addictive about farm games in general, which we can get onto later. But
Yeah,
Sim
we will
Farm,
definitely circle back
It's
to
so
that.
good. There's also Lego Racer. That was a really good one as well.
Is that the one where you built your carts?
You built
and then-
your car, yeah,
that was
and
fun.
then I remember watching my brother. Like, I would watch my brother a lot when we were playing games. Like, I'd be like, sit behind him or just like stand behind him and watch him play games because I was like watching that. And then from there, we kind of got into, there was this Timon and Pumbaa game.
Where you catch the bugs?
Yes!
That's
Yes!
so weird that I remember
That's
that
a
one.
good one.
Yeah.
Then there were some Magic School Bus games, so it's just very like low-key, kind of chill children's games that we play. So.
Magic School Bus games. I played
Yes!
those all the
Those
time.
were so good.
Actually,
I love those.
my memory of the Magic School Bus game is that's how I learned the word personality. Because
Really?
nobody explained it to me, but a key component of the game is that you had to design a personality.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's this? design a what? And then I looked at all of the different character traits and I just couldn't wrap my head around what this word meant.
Oh,
It's
very
just
interesting.
the weirdest pocket of my memory.
Yeah, so that was kind of like the games I grew up playing with until we eventually moved on to consoles, which was later in my life, but then eventually consoles became a big thing. So, yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Who's the we that you talk about when you're talking about playing?
So it was like my brother a lot, or it was me and my sister, my like younger sister, because I'm the youngest of like four. So my oldest sister, I never really did games because she was always off doing more social things because she's older than me. And then my brother, he was the bigger gamer of us. And then me and my sister, we would often play games together sometimes. So we had this game called Pet Vet. Also another really good game where you're just taking care of animals on your own farm, and I'm like, hey, this is all I'm
That's really
about.
cool.
And then eventually we got into more co-op games on consoles. So Halo was very big
Yeah.
when we got into that because it was a co-op mode. You could just keep it as easy as you wanted, and it like provided us with hours of entertainment. That and like WWE wrestling for PlayStations.
That's a weird choice.
Yeah.
Those
Well, my
games
brother
are
was super
kind of
into it.
infamous for just being unplayable.
Yeah.
Even like modern ones.
Yeah. No,
like
they're
this year or
super
last
unplayable,
year.
but super hilarious because of that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The only one I ever saw of that was on this N64, I think. And I was like, well, I mean, I'm not a
Weird.
fan of wrestling, so
Yeah,
it's still
yeah.
very weird to me. So why do you want to control these guys in Speedos
Well, it's like,
slamming
It's
into
the
each
whole
other?
thing about wrestling in general, because I remember when my brother started getting into it when he was like a young teen, and like obviously I would always looked up to him, so I would get into it by default.
Right.
And then of course first there was like the TV series, so that was just fun because it's like the scripted drama, but in a really cheesy way, and it was kind of endearing in a way, and then
Right.
you'd have your favorite characters that you would root for, and you're like, yes, like the Undertaker I think was my brother's favorite. So then when he got his first PlayStation 2, those were some of the first games he bought on it, and then he would kind of make his own character, obviously borrowing elements from the Undertaker's theme and wardrobe. And it was quite a lot of fun. That and like early Star Wars games
Yeah.
that we played as well. So those were good times. Yeah.
That's really fun.
All right, so you talked about gaming,
Yeah.
but
Oh.
who is Sid?
Oh. Well, I think anyone who talks to me for more than 5 minutes, you will suddenly find yourself having a bumper sticker slapped onto your car that says Farmers Feed Cities, just because I'm I'm so very much into farming, because I grew up on a farm. It's been 20 plus years of my life. It still is to an extent. Like, I no longer work on the family farm because I've moved away, but every time I go back, I hear about it, I get involved in it, seeing the major changes in it. So it's definitely, farming is still a very big core of who I am, even though I've had years where I didn't want that to be all I was, but now I'm coming
inescapable.
right back.
Yeah.
It's swinging right back. So there's that. And then for hobbies, I am a big games enthusiast. Like, Halo is probably my biggest one. Like, I go full out. I will buy the books. I will buy the comics.
I've only met one other person who digs into the lore of Halo. So that's really interesting.
love the lore of Halo, because I remember why all of a sudden I jumped back straight into it was I bought the Halo Mythos book, which basically gave the world building with gorgeous art in it as well of the world of Halo, and I was like, okay, this is gonna fuel me. And it did. So, and it's just like, I know they're trashy sci-fi novels, I am aware of this, but I will pick them up because they are trashy sci-fi, but it's also like giving these like various stories that I love how it builds upon it. And they're, to be honest, video game adaptations, like the Halo ones are actually really good because they're not retelling the video game in book form.
It's additive.
They're adding to it. They're building new characters. They're having these stories. So that's quite a lot of fun with it. So it's, keeps it fresh.
Yeah. What is your favorite Halo?
Oh, probably Halo 2. Because, oh man, the parallelism of the two. Because you're playing, because that's when they first introduced the Arbiter as a major character.
Right. And
that split narrative of being able to play as the Master Chief and also the Arbiter was probably one of the best things they ever could have done. And it was so great seeing, especially since they're enemies, like the two groups, so the elites and the humans, they're enemies. So watching them eventually come together and fight towards a common goal in Halo 3 is like beautiful, watching this whole progression. Yeah. Because you start off at the beginning of the game of Master Chief, he's being awarded for the stuff that he did in Halo 1, whereas the Arbiter, he's being completely stripped and demoted for losing a ring at the end of Halo 1 in front of like everyone. So it's the parallelism that always gets to me, which gets me super excited. So especially like, it's just a really good game overall. Like narrative wise, the soundtrack was also really good. So all Bungie music is so good. Yeah, that's cool.
I feel so much better now because I remember we played Halo with your brother.
Oh yeah.
And the two of you just annihilated me back to back. And there was...
Oh, there's no competition. He's definitely more of a competitive game, like online competitive gamer than I am, because I am very much a campaign player. Like I will grind out campaign. Yeah. Co-op or solo? Or does it matter? I can go both. Like he and I have done like legendary runs on Halo 1, which was a brutal slog. Those are hard. Yes. So bad.
Is that when you...
That's the highest difficulty.
That's the highest difficulty. So of course,
we're like, yeah,
or you're getting like achievements, and sometimes you need another person. That's usually what I bring them on for campaign. But then sometimes we'll go play Halo 5 multiplayer. Sometimes just like get fun things for like character wise and whatnot, character building and whatnot, because you can get rec packs and you get new armor sets with those, and that's fun. So that's usually what we do with him. But he can do that much better than I can because I'm not an online person in general. I like the stories. Like I have played so much of Red Dead Redemption because it was so very story driven, and that's
is that what you say you look for in games?
Like definitely story wise, yeah.
If there's no story, do you still play the game?
I do. Like I've gotten really into Red Dead Redemption Online because it really like you can just go and explore the world on your own and not really have to deal with all the other players online, because griefing was really bad in the early days. It's gotten much better now, much better, but I'm still able to go into this world with my own character, and they have like side quests that you can do. They have like challenges you can do, like daily challenges that you can do to continue like earn things and whatnot. So it's very involved for me, whereas with like traditional FPS games it's more competitive, and that's not really what I'm about, other than Halo Reach, which has Firefight, which is basically so it's like a survival mode kind of survival mode, and that kind of cuts down on it, because when I'm doing online, I feel so stressed because I'm like, this is going to be so bad because it takes me a while to warm up. So then my like KD ratio is horrendous. Whereas
KD ratio?
Kill death ratio.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's horrendous when I
Your craft dinner ratio.
Yeah.
Wow, delicious.
Yeah. So it's like so it gets bad when I'm trying to go back into like competitive online. But if I'm just doing firefight, because I had to do like 75 rounds of firefight for
a trophy or an
like,
achievement.
It was like a weekly challenge thing where you get like a ton of credits.
Get the credits.
It was great, but it was such a slog because it's 75 rounds, and like you get maybe like 4 or 5 rounds in each like set, which is about 20 minutes long. So you can just imagine trying to go through that.
I think I remember doing that once as well back in high school.
Oh.
And having to stay up till like 3 a.m. and then get up at 5 to go to work or something like that.
That's kind of what I did. Stayed up till about 10, got up at 5 a.m. So I'm like, But it was worth it. Got those credits, but it was just, it was a slog. So I'm definitely more of grind it out, do what I need to do, get achievements and whatnot. Like, I've gotten quite a lot of achievements for Master Chief Collection. I'm probably going to go back in to continue to do more.
Yeah.
So,
there's a ton of stuff.
There's so much
that you can do in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like 60% done, but I'm like, there's so many more.
Let's pull away from the games for just a second because we need to get a sense of your academic biography. Because I have a feeling there's something really interesting happening here in terms of your relationship to games and gameplay, and then what you study.
Right. So as an academic right now, I'm in kind of like post-grad in a way, because I've done my master's, taken a break before I consider PhDs, but I've had an amazing opportunity to work as a research assistant for the collaborative lab, which is now a part of the Games Institute space. And so the work that I was doing for that was looking at trans narratives on YouTube. And I watch a lot of YouTube. So, and my supervisor didn't really want to know what the landscape was. She wasn't really sure of it.
This
so
is Shannon McDonald?
Shannon McDonald. And so I was like, okay, I'll just jump right into it and show you what I've done. So I did that for a while. It's just understanding the landscape of YouTube. Got into some major video essays because those are quite fun and a very much an emerging genre on YouTube. So the quality of video essays these days is actually quite great, and I love them.
So when you say transmedia, what do you mean?
So they are transgender vloggers.
I see.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Because it can mean, transmedia studies.
Oh, no, that's fair. Yeah. So no, it's specifically transgender people on YouTube. Okay. Which has been actually, in my research, been there since YouTube started. Like,
fascinating.
One of the first like kind of vloggers on YouTube started when YouTube started. So it's very, very popular and very specific to YouTube, because YouTube has been a great ways of broadcasting your stance and your position and reaching kind of more of a global audience of the people that feel the way you feel. So it's been, trans vloggers on YouTube is very big and very
Are there
important.
any notable names that we should know?
So there's ContraPoints, video essayist, and she's showed her transition. Like, if you go back to the very first of her videos, and you get to watch this transition and to where she is now, which is very great. And she does talk about a lot of like gender specific issues in her essays, which is great. And she has a very unique style, especially with her like how she dresses up, how she performs, and all the various characters she's created. She's definitely very much up there. And her Jordan Peterson video is probably the one that she's most well known for. It's such a good video. I will recommend that one.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds really good. That sounds awesome. I'm definitely going to check out that video essayist.
No, she's really great, and she's probably one of the more well known on like what's collectively called LeftTube, because there's her, there's Lindsay Ellis, who does really great videos on like Disney and film and media in general, which is really great. Like, she did a great take on Robin Williams and the Genie like not too long ago. It was a very good video.
Oh, right.
Yeah. No, it's really, really good. So she's very knowledgeable. And then there's also Philosophy Tube. He's very great because they're all great in general. He recently did a video about men and trauma. And divulged very personal experiences of his experience with domestic abuse, which was very interesting and very telling of his character and how he's worked through those issues and basically what gave birth to his YouTube channel in general. So those are probably like core 3 of them, but they're generally called LeftTube, and those are the types of videos that they make and the ideas that they promote for, like, you know, the other side of it, whereas we get very, you know, right-wing politics on YouTube. So
Yeah,
the other side
there's
of
that as well.
Yeah.
And Shanna has you looking at all of these YouTube vloggers. I'm wrapping my head around that word. These YouTube essays.
Yeah.
She has you looking at them to understand the landscape. Is there?
Yeah, kind of to understand the landscape, to understand the genre, to understand like how they've built their videos, and to understand like what's the difference between, say, like a vlogger versus an essayist. What are the types of things that they talk about? What is the type of format? How do they dress up their videos and whatnot? Just more of like a maybe like a technical review, which is just like standard vlogging, which is basically talking head. So that's kind of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And how do you present this research? Do you have any idea of what she plans to do with it?
She probably, it was very early. Like, I was the first research student to start in this field. So basically I got to set the mandate of what I wanted to look at and what I wanted to create. And it's probably going to turn into probably some papers in the future, but that's like a long way out, just because these are like the preliminary steps of looking up names and then going from there to like looking up, like, you know, scholarly journals, who's talking about this, what else can be said about what's being shown on YouTube. So I came up with some like leading academics in that area of what they're talking about, because YouTube is like in general in academia really big, and also just like vlogging and trans vloggers is also really big. So which is very interesting.
I'm excited to see where this goes for sure.
Yes.
So does this RA ship tie into your research interest, like main research interest, or is it something that kind of complements it?
It definitely like gives me a reason to further explore media studies. Personally, I have already decided that I'm gonna do probably farm studies. Going back to that, but farm studies and media studies could probably will probably overlay if I continue my research into this, because there's just a lot of misunderstanding and hate being spread about farming and agriculture in general on the internet.
Right.
So we've called them vegan suffragists.
Okay.
Wow. Vegan suffragists.
So they're very hardcore vegans, very hardcore, and they have very big misunderstandings of what the farming landscape actually looks like and what farmers actually do. So I remember reading this article about what these types of people are doing in the UK, and basically they will go out, find a farmer, and basically call them like a rapist and a murderer and all sorts of terrible things for the work that they do, because if they're like into farming like actual animals, then obviously they're like the worst person on the earth. And it's like, you shouldn't be doing that, because you're just showing how terrible of a person you actually are, and that doesn't really help. So I'm trying to find ways to bridge the gap between the farming minority, because it is a minority, because it's like 1% to 2% of the population feeds the other 99%.
Yeah.
So if you start attacking your farmers, who are already isolated and vulnerable enough because mental health is such an issue, then, you know, it leads to, you know, potential mass starvation. So that's the kind of landscape. And to try and like, especially since like veganism today is like wouldn't have existed, say, like 50 years ago. It only exists because of the ways of our technology has improved our handling of food.
Right.
So we're able to eat avocados because we can transport them here in a timely manner and keep them fresh by the time they get here.
Right.
Whereas 50 years ago we couldn't. So it's that misunderstanding that people don't remember, that like, no, we continue to farm this way because the majority of our population still eats this way. So you can't just say, let's hardcore go to veganism, because that's not going to work. Exactly.
Right.
Not for many populations.
I was gonna ask, when you say like farming, so
Yeah.
when you say farming, I think immediately of like somebody in a combine and it's like wheat and like
Yeah.
grains and stuff.
Yeah.
So does your phrasing of that mean both like meat and grain, and then dairy as well by an extension?
Yeah, my concept of farming is just like the broad overview of someone going out to either work the fields or work with animals. Like, it's a very broad encompassing term. It's just like in general, it's going to be food production.
Okay.
It's essentially what it is. So there can be different types of farming. Sure, there's like the animal husbandry. There's cash croppers, which just like manage like a broad scope of fields. Like my uncle, he farms himself about 500 acres.
Yeah.
That's kind of small because he also has like poultry on the side, but if serious cash croppers can have thousands of acres to their name. My family specifically is into greenhouses, which is
cool.
different, but it's, you know, it's a type of farming. So we're able to grow tomatoes and whatnot and other things.
That's really cool.
In the landscape of Canada.
Yeah, that's very different than what's in Saskatchewan, where there is some like beef still, but most of it is all grain.
Yeah,
and whatnot.
it also depends on the landscape and what's able to provide.
Yes.
Like, my family farm is down in Norfolk County, which is really known for good soil that can like properly like drain itself.
Yeah.
So we get lots of tobacco. There's lots of fruit fields. There's lots of orchards. There's now cannabis greenhouses out there because we live in Canada and we're allowed to grow cannabis. So wee. But then on the other side, there's say like Haldeman County, which is like the neighboring county to us, and it's known for clay soil, so you can't grow much there other than cash cropping, which would be like corn, wheat, and beans. Those are probably the three most common crops you will see probably anywhere.
And is that because they grow shallow or because they just don't need that much?
They don't need that much maintenance, and it's like you know, probably, you know, pennies you're spending on like thousands of seeds.
Right.
So it's like an easy way to just put something in, and it's like, you know, the major grain production that we do. So corn, beans, wheat. Every year.
What is your take on the differences between people who are vegan and people who are farmers? Because you would think that vegan folks would be really, really interested in what farmers are doing, considering that the majority of the vegan diet is plants, which is, you know, a lot of what farmers do. So why is there this breakdown in understanding?
Well, it's like, because usually it's because they've maybe seen videos online of terrible animal mistreatment. PETA does a very terrible job at fear-mongering and spreading those types of things, and people will just share viral videos saying, oh, how can we allow this in our farms, when it's like usually just an isolated case of someone who is probably not trained properly to handle the animals, or someone who is very unnecessarily cruel. And we don't want cruelty because, first of all, that animal is not only like your income, it's like you want to take care of the animals to the best of their ability, to the best of your ability. So it's kind of like that giant misunderstanding of, well, if you've seen it this way, well, then all farms must be like that.
Yeah.
Especially since in our farming landscape now, not only will you be having, say, like animals, you will also have like cash cropping on the side because you need that income, because the farming landscape has changed so much that you need both streams of revenue to make enough money. But as soon as people find out that you take care of animals, they think that's the only thing that you're doing. So
if they start attacking,
if they start attacking the one side of your business, well, then the other side might potentially falter as well.
Yeah.
So, which is, you know, not great.
So there's a huge breakdown in understanding because A, they think that something's happening when it's not, and then B, they don't understand how removing this thing that they think is a villainous act is going to actually affect a lot of other things happening in the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I understand. So is it worth then exploring how to dismantle the myth?
Like, I think it is, especially since we know so little about food in general. Like, we don't have any this is just a general comment about our education system in general, but we don't have any like life skills classes. Like, none of us know how to do taxes by the time we should, right? That's a major one. But it's
or
also,
we still don't even.
I do something online and it automatically calculates
some
things.
genie
And I'm like,
figures it out.
thank goodness I don't need to. But it's like that kind of stuff where it's like, you would probably like that, or, you know, knowing how to cook for yourself. I would love to, like, maybe this would be like a future thing that I could work on if my PhD works out, of like trying to build like some sort of like foods courses starting in grade schools and carrying you through all the way through, like, you know, high school, so you can actually have a chance to see how, first of all, food is grown, food is managed,
that'd be really cool.
and then food gets from you, because we know most people I find don't know anything about what goes on from the farm between that to the grocery store.
Yeah, you just pick it up at Costco. You don't have to worry about how it got
Exactly.
there.
So it's like, what happens if all of a sudden that chain like breaks down?
Exactly.
So you're kind of screwed at the end.
What about farming simulators then? Because I mean, theoretically, right? Like where my mind went automatically is like, so a lot of the problem has to do with people seeing this content online that perpetuates a myth of animal cruelty, and then conversely, the way to undercut it is to produce accurate content.
Yeah.
And we know from procedural rhetoric, which is learning through games, that, you know, farming simulators could potentially be the educational tool that shows people what is actually happening with farming. But there's a ton of farming simulators out there. And as you said, they're already popular. So why isn't that working?
I don't really know. I think it's like either those people aren't playing those games because it might be just like it's a very specific type of game because it's all just, you know, task based, right? So I know for a fact that I've heard, I'm not sure if this is true anymore, that Farming Simulator was going to go to like some sort of esports level just because of how serious it is. Because it's
awesome.
It's a very competitive sport, and like in farming communities, we legit have those those kind of sports. We have what's called the tractor pull. Where you're just in some field watching farmers get together, take their tractors
watermelon too.
and like plow, like say a line of like who can get the straightest lines of plow, who can like plow the furthest, or who can pull the most. Like that's what we have in our communities because that's really great.
I want to come next time you go, by the way.
Oh my word, you want to go stand in a muddy field for like 4 hours?
Yes.
I'll reach out to you when that happens. I think it's usually early spring before the fields are usually tilled up. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Maybe it's that they don't. Yeah. So as you're saying, it could be because they're not playing the farming simulators, but also it could be they see them as not representative of real life since they tend to be cartoonish.
Well, Farming Simulator, like the Farming Simulator game that usually comes out every year, that's probably the most lifelike of anything. And then
I'm thinking of Farmville.
Oh, yeah, Farmville. No. This is completely different. So Farming Simulator, the game that is called Farming Simulator, that's the one that goes to the esports level. It is very realistic. You have all of the equipment that you need. You have all of these fields that need like different, have different needs. So you have to make sure you're using the right equipment. You have to make sure, you're managing all of these types of things, these small tasks, and make sure that your equipment's are running and whatnot. So it's very, very serious. But then there are, the slog of like
the JRPG inspired.
That's what I've been picturing this whole time. I'm
the
glad
mobile games, the mobile farming games, of which I have played probably mostly all of them because of course I have, and they're also super addictive.
Yeah.
Like you play one, you've played them all, but they're so much fun. So and it's just like tap, they're like tap based games. So it's like you plant a field, you plant the seed, you wait for it to grow in about 5-ish minutes. Or 10-ish minutes, depending on the type of crop you have. And then you can harvest and then whatnot, and then you can continue to build your farm and whatnot, which is pretty great, very addictive. But it's usually those types of games that are the mobile games, which is probably not what. Like Farming Simulator is probably not what the ones that vegan suffragists are like pulling up for, the ones who don't understand farming in general. They're probably picking up the mobile version, which is just safe, you carry it around and whatnot, whereas Farming Simulator requires so much time and energy and thought to put into it to understand how is a farm managed, which is what my brother loves playing because of course he does, because of course he lives on the farm and deals with tractors all the time. So he's really interested in that, but the average person wouldn't be because it's kind of a niche genre in a way.
Yes.
Is that because it's too realistic?
It's very realistic. I think that might turn some people off. It's just, it is a lot of things that you have to keep in mind, and it's not your quick kind of like multiplayer FPS Overwatch type game. It's like ones that you have to put like serious time and attention to.
I see your challenge here. I see this challenge being a lot bigger than I was initially thinking because it's so easy to retweet, reshare, repost one of those gruesome fear-mongering videos of a poor animal getting skinned or whatever, but then the reality to actually improve literacy requires dedicated attention that not many people are willing to give.
No. And there's also the issue of, say, education in general. Most farmers, they've obviously mostly gone through high school. I have one of my uncles, he dropped out of high school and he went straight to work on the farm. But then for the most part, some kids who are planning to just work on the farm straight after high school do not go to college. Maybe they do some sort of like 2-year diploma. Some don't. Some drop out, or they'll have some sort of skill, like trades-based skill. Like my brother, he does tractor repairs. That was like a 2-year diploma. Or one of my cousins, he did welding, and that's about it. But for the most part, farmers are not largely educated in our sense. So there's that issue of perceiving academics as, and like seeing your degrees as value, whereas a lot of farmers don't have them. So it's like, how can some people may not trust a farmer who doesn't have those degrees? I know that's an issue. Whereas like at some conferences where you got gathering all your farmers together, the farmers won't usually talk for themselves. They'll have someone who's educated and is knowledgeable to talk for them.
Some kind of advocate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then it becomes jargon coded and the rhetoric changes.
It can be, and a lot of the time, farmers don't have time to educate people.
Yeah.
I know, like, they don't.
Yeah, that's a busy life.
They're very, like, farming is 24/7. We don't get a vacation. Not usually. This is a conversation that I've had with my dad many times. Like, he's been farming his entire life. He's in his 50s now. He's tired. He doesn't want to teach people anymore. So then I'll say to him, okay, Dad, I'll teach the people. This is what I want to do with my life. You know, take a break and do what you want to do. So it's that kind of thing where it's like you're telling these people, no, this is how it is, and they're not listening. So it's like eventually you just kind of, throw your hands up, give up, and go back to work.
So wait, hang on. You just said that you would teach the people.
Yeah.
So research.
Yes.
Can just be research. Are you also saying that you want to then take the research as a teaching tool?
I would love to. Would love to do some sort of like serious course-based learning. Maybe probably at the university level of very serious people of just trying to see like what's the relationship that people have with the land when they are physically forced to grow something from the start. Germinate seeds, learning how to make sure you're watering it enough, like giving it enough sunlight, those kinds of things. Fertilizer, are you considered fertilizer? What's, the pH composition of your soil and whatnot. All of this kind of stuff, and try to like understand people's relationship to literally the ground where your food comes from, and try and build that up. And then I've also mentioned previously having some sort of foods course started already at the beginning of, grade school. Why cannot we integrate that already into our schools so people have an understanding of actually where their food comes from? Because it's like farmers can say, trust us, we know the food is fine, you don't need to worry about anything, and yet the people don't.
Yeah.
Because we grow the food ourselves, we know we know what we put in it, we eat it ourselves. Why can't you trust us? They don't. So it's like we have to start somewhere, and that's probably with like education, basic education of like learning serious videos and whatnot. Yeah. I've given a lot of thought about this.
Yeah. This is fascinating.
My mind is like a little bit shaken up.
Yeah.
So how does this fit in? Like once you get into your PhD, how are you going to still research your other passions, like these trans vloggers?
Ooh, that'll be an interesting question of, is it, worth my time to do it? It also depends on like when I plan on starting my PhD. Like this is like,
is there any connection is what I'm wondering? Because I don't see a need for you to pick between them. Like you can pursue farming rhetoric and education while also keeping your eye open for media research. And
I could probably do that kind of both, because farming studies in the way that I want to do it, which is more humanities based probably than science or biology based, there's like nothing out there for humanities based, or if there is, it's usually written by people who have not been raised on a farm and are pushing some sort of like vegan rhetoric, which is, fine. I have literally no problem with vegans, but it's when your rhetoric starts getting out of control and co-opted by, very strong-willed people, that's the issue. And there's nothing on the other side of the fence saying, hey, this is actually how farming is done.
Cite your sources. Cite your sources.
Cite your sources, please. So that's my understanding is like the media studies to a degree can definitely relate to what I'm doing in farm studies. The trans vloggers, I would love to continue doing, especially since it's like very important, not only as like a non-binary person, but just like YouTube in general being like, this is, it's been a genre since like YouTube started, so it's kind of important to study in a way, and kind of seeing where the academic literature is going with that as well.
Yeah, I find academics in relation to YouTube so interesting because we can see that YouTube is this big important thing, but we don't quite understand it yet because how can you?
Because it changes so rapidly, and academics is very slow, which is sad. So it's like you have to understand how the game changes, and it's been changing so quickly because while I usually watch gaming YouTube, that's my hobby. I watch this one channel called The Know on YouTube, and they're just about gaming news. So they usually do like about 10 to 15 minute videos each day about like one issue that's come out. So they did a lot of Anthem videos when Anthem came out because that was great. But it's like they usually tell about like the issues that they're looking into, but also the reason why they're doing the certain things on the channel. Like we have to do things this way, like in certain like naming conventions and whatnot, because of the algorithm. The algorithm on YouTube constantly changes. So it's like, if you want to make sure you're continued to be monetized, you have to like, and be seen, you have to like do it a certain way, play a certain game, especially since Minecraft has become so big again.
Which is so weird.
It's so weird. We're in this weird Minecraft renaissance.
Yeah.
It's great.
Great. Is it great?
I mean,
for those that play,
would you rather have Minecraft or Fortnite again? Fortnite
okay,
forever.
yeah. I'll take Minecraft. Let's bring the Sims back.
So with kind of this objective to get farming kind of more out there in academia and stuff, would you see yourself as kind of a consultant to maybe design a game in order to teach these correct principles? Because I mean, we talked about like the JRPG kind of farming simulators, and maybe the almost ultra realistic farming simulator, which I don't know if you see that as a good thing or not. So do you find, or do you think that there is a middle ground that needs to be met where it can still be kind of gamified, but also have those touches of realism so that people are experiencing the truth rather than just, I'm going to give this jar of mayonnaise to Alan so that his hearts go up or something like that. You know?
So that would be interesting because it's like, I've seen like quite a lot of apps of just like general apps of like how to take care of houseplants, which is really interesting, of like, tracking how much you watered it and how recently, trying to make sure you take care of, because it's probably the number one reason why houseplants die is because of overwatering. Yeah. You're just thinking about all the houseplants you killed.
Yes.
Which is great. Like, I've played around with houseplants a lot, so... And they're always fun to do it because usually if I'm like starting out with just a clipping, just stick it in a literal glass of water, wait till the roots develop, and then stick it in the soil and try and encourage it from there. And then I've seen my mom do it all the time. Usually when it's hot and humid outside and it's rainy, she usually sticks to more tropical plants outside because it's better for them. I've seen literal advice from people saying, if your tropical plant is unhappy, just take it in the shower with you. Quite literally take it in the shower with you because it's hot and steamy and that's what it wants. So I'm wondering if maybe, like, I'm trying to think of like, would a literal game help people out, or would like app-based help for making these choices of like doing like maybe home gardening would help out, because I would love to spur on this kind of movement of like home gardening. And we'd be called angry urban farmers. I've also given this a lot of thought. But it's also like, I want to partially destroy lawn culture, which is another dream of mine. Because like, lawn culture...
Get rid of lawns and just put gardens
lawn
and like
culture is so
stuff.
Unnecessary because it's like...
I feel that same way.
It's like, I don't want to cut my grass.
Exactly.
Do you think I ever cut my grass? As soon as we left the farm and moved to this small townhouse, and when I mean town, I mean 20 houses down one stretch of road, we like rarely, like, my dad's advice to me is like, his number one critique is that city people mow their lawn way too often. If you want to take care of your grass,
we also spend too much money.
Way too much money. And I've heard of like other companies like offering to like plant different varieties of plants on people's lawns, which is lower maintenance, so you don't have to cut it as often. And I think that's a great solution for like, number one, if you don't want to take care of your lawn, plant something else that's like friendly and fine. You just throw on the ground.
But there's regulations for that, eh?
What? See, this is what I don't like either,
ridiculous.
Is the regulation of like stuff.
But you can put in AstroTurf. You just can't put in like certain stuff.
They can try to stop me. They can try.
Yeah, but
What are they gonna do?
houses with AstroTurf, I just have to slap my
That's
head.
gross. That's gross.
Have like a mini putt, or what are they called? Like a mini golf setup? That's what I think
Yeah,
of when you
so
say
it's like-
AstroTurf.
No, that's what
Yeah.
it looks like. It looks
It's like
it looks,
I have
it's not
neighbors
fooling
in the
anybody.
neighborhood that I live in that have basically transformed their lawns into literal gardens and stuff. And
That's
I think that's
awesome.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
like, especially like when you plant things that have different flowering seasons and it's fine all through year. I think that's great. It's also like gardening in general. I feel like it's just good for people. Gets you
Yes, it
outside,
is.
gets you
Yep.
involved with the dirt.
Not good for my back, but I totally agree.
I understand the back thing is an issue, but it's like I feel like if in general people had more things to do outside,
Yes.
that would improve their like sense of well-being in
You're
general.
right.
So yeah, number one complaint about lawns is people cut it too often. To take care of your lawn, if you're into that, is you want to let the blades grow very long to the point where it looks like no one's living at your house. And then you cut it, but don't cut it super short.
Right.
Because you want, like, the longer the blade, the more developed the root system is. The more developed the root system is, the deeper it can penetrate into the ground and get more water so it doesn't go brown super early. People's lawns will go brown super early
Yeah.
because it doesn't have roots to get water. And it's fine. Also, don't water your lawns. Makes me so angry.
Sid, are you going to start a farming podcast?
Yes, I probably will. And it's just going to be me
Because-
angrily ranting about lawns.
Because we really need to pivot to talk about QLab, but like there's no cutting you off because
not
this is so
yet.
interesting.
This
Yeah,
is what
this stuff's
happens. I
fascinating.
tell you, bumper stickers, Farmer Street Cities. Yeah. So, this is what happens.
Yeah, you need to start your own podcast, and we need to talk about QLab.
There'll just be 15 minutes of angry ranting of what people do wrong in the cities and why I'm right. That's just how it is.
All right, so you are the first QLab researcher to come on the
Yes.
podcast.
Yes.
QLab, of course, is short for Q Collaborative.
Yes.
Can you tell us about the lab and what it's like to be a part of it?
Okay, so I've only been a part of it for a few months now, and the lab is still very much in its early stages.
How old is the lab right now?
Ooh, I would not be able to say because I'm still new. I would say probably only a year, maybe 2.
I think a year is that makes sense with what I think, but we can confirm that.
Yeah, so a year, maybe 2. Yeah, they just got space in the Games Institute, so we're probably going to be here more often. We're just trying to, get things settled because I was a part of a team with 3 other researchers with my supervisor, Shanna, this summer. So we're kind of like, we finally wound down that type of research, was basically like, also we like manage an Instagram account together.
Right. So the main research project you were doing is the YouTube project.
YouTube. That was my personal project. And then together as a group, we managed an Instagram account called aesthetic.resistance. And it's basically us, choosing like snapshots of like either people that basically are resisting kind of like our dominant view of society, which is usually white and heterosexual and cisgender. So it's basically us taking these snapshots and like broadcasting them to our audience. Like during the month of June, which is Pride Month, we did pretty much every day like a queer icon. And it could be like anything you wanted. It could be like an actual person, like either present or historical, or it could be like a piece of media. Like I did video games a few times.
And I saw Dream Daddies.
Oh, Dream Daddy. It was such a good game. So it's like that kind
They're
of like...
coming out with Dream Daddy too, I think. But anyway.
Oh, yes. That's great.
Also, have you heard of the one that I think it's called like Dating Dungeon, where it's a dungeon crawl, but you're dating your weapon, and your weapon is like a
Oh, my word.
personified person that you like court.
Oh my gosh, that's so mean.
Yeah, I'll show you that.
Yeah, show me that.
Yeah.
So this was a team of you and a couple.
This was a team of us, and usually we would take a day, and then we would just say, here's what I'm going to be posting, here are the photos I have, and here's the text, let me know if I need to change anything, and then we would post, and we all have our like mod names, which is basically our signature at the end of each post. Of course, I'm Farmer Mod, because of course I am.
Nice.
And then I think in September we're going to be coming back together because we've like, taken a little bit of a break on the Instagram account for now, and we're going to be doing, I think, protests for the month of September, and I'm probably going to be doing something farm related because I've been looking into different things, and I've seen terms like ecofeminism and agrofeminism and that type of thing. So I'm trying to understand the relation between, like, say, feminism and just like the non-dominant idea of what farming and farmers look like, and kind of like
because there's probably some really interesting intersections between what people say is white feminism and veganism, the way that that's discussed.
Yeah.
So I expect to see how you discuss that.
Ooh, that would be interesting because that'll be me going off
Yeah.
in 300 words or less.
What is the actually? Who are the other researchers that are involved in the Instagram project?
I'm horrendous with names. I know there's Sabrina. She is, I think, a third year undergrad student. She's going into like her 3 term.
And Brianna Weens?
Brianna Weens. She is a PhD student. And then there was Kartiki. She was a first year student. So me and Brienne, we're going to be continuing our work long term with the lab, and I think Sabrina will probably be continuing on when she's on another co-op term. So,
and I think we will be having a couple of the Q Lab researchers come and join us on the podcast to talk about them and give a little bit more perspective.
Yeah, because we're all very interesting people, and we all have our likes essentially and what quirks I would say.
Probably all come to it with very different perspectives.
Yeah. Especially Bree, because she's done the most work along with Shanna and the most work in the lab, so she'll have like seniority and a different perspective of like the how things are moving with Q Lab, whereas I haven't yet, but
Yeah. And
continuing.
do you have an understanding of what the purpose of Q Lab is overall?
It's kind of to not only like broadcast how feminism is changing and continuing to change in general, but also kind of relating it to other aspects of life. So of course I'm going to be bringing in agriculture, because that's, we should be understanding that within like sort of a feminist lens as well, especially since farming for the most part in our society is seen as very white and very male, and very family oriented.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. So are there other ways that we could look into this that is not that stereotypical view that's often also seen in media of like, what else is there other than the stereotypical white, stereotypical, family unit farming? So yeah,
very cool.
Yeah.
And of course Q Collaborative is a part of the Games Institute now, because they do intersectional feminist design, and they look at how they can mobilize and amplify different intersectional feminist ideas through interactive technology. So a lot of their projects have to do with what we do here at the Games Institute. This Instagram project is an excellent example of, it's inquisitive, like it's investigating different media sources, and it also is amplifying voices, and then it's mobilizing their knowledge too.
Yes.
That's a really cool project. And that's aesthetic.resistance.
Yes.
What do you foresee your research being in your PhD?
In my PhD? I have theorized this a lot because I've been emailing a lot of PhD programs of just saying, hey, here I am. I'm an English student, but I want to do farming. Let me know if I can do it. So I've given like a lot of looks, and there's like knowledge mobilization. That's interesting because because knowledge mobilization on the farm is literally you're learning by doing.
Right.
It's with your hands. It is learning by experience. It's learning by watching. So it's passed down generation to generation. So the reason why I know so much about farming is because of my dad. The reason why my dad knows so much about farming is because of his dad, and so on and so on and so on. So it's passed down
like
to
the family
generations.
trade secrets kind of a thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, of course, when my dad got into greenhouses, he knew nothing of greenhouses, but he knew farming.
Right.
So he knows how to make his own fertilizer from scratch. Then that's like stuff that he's done before. So it's that kind of thing. It's just taking what you already know from one place and kind of like applying it to another. That's how he picked it up. Like he doesn't have, say, like formal education, which you shouldn't when you're trying to get into farming, and applying it to a different set. So that's what he's doing. That's what he's always been doing. And so like another thing is I know a lot about weather just from, seeing what the clouds are like, knowing what the temperature's like, knowing when a low pressure or high pressure is coming in. And that's just literally from farming, because you have to know what the weather's going to look like, because if you don't, you're either going to get your tractor stuck in the mud, or your fields are going to be too wet to do anything. So you're going to have to wait for, say, because you have to have a certain percentage of water in the seeds when you harvest, and you want to get usually a pretty low percentage.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like that kind of stuff of knowing when is the right time to do something.
So
Especially if you're doing
Farmer Mod Podcast?
Yeah.
Farmer Mod Pod?
It's gonna, there's so
Farmer
much.
Mod Pod? That's great.
Oh, this is so great. Keep going.
So it's like that knowledge mobilization obviously is a big thing, but then there's also that we've talked about is bridging the gap between the urban and the rural populations, and how should we be tackling that issue? Should we be tackling that issue? There's the issue of, say, mental health in farming communities, because a lot of times one of the big reasons why farmers are so lonely is because you have like family farming has changed a lot in the past decade. So back in the day, I think probably in the 90s, our family farm was whatever pigs we had on the farm, and then our 100 acres of stuff that we would farm.
Right.
That is no longer sustainable. So now it's 500 acres and whatever, say like dairy or poultry or some sort of like animal farming. It's just changed so drastically to be able to say, oh, I can actually pay my bills and keep the family farm. So it's that type of thing. So now that we've gotten to grander scales of farming, and farming is relatively solitary, isolation is usually not good for people. So usually in some communities, there's high suicide rates. There's also the issue of, say, like, you're the 8th generation farmer and the farm is being foreclosed on. What does that do to your identity in general, or your sense of self-worth? Like, you're the last person going to be on that farm in your family. What does that do to you?
Yeah.
And then there's also, oh yeah, just in general, like, types of farming. So it's like, because I know so much about specifically farming in southwestern Ontario, is it worth it me studying somewhere else, say abroad, or should I stay local because this is the farming subset that I know
Stay
of?
local.
Guelph, here I come. So can I apply the knowledge sets that I have to broader understandings of farming? Like, I want to know more about, say, like, farming. Would vegans ever say the same things they say to farmers in Western society? Would they say the exact same things to, say, like, farmers in, like, parts of Africa?
Which is an important, you know.
Which is important, because it's like, our farming is not always going to be the same. And usually, say, for, like, tribes in Africa, like the Maasai, cows are very important to them. So, you know, the idea of, say, like, oh, people shouldn't be drinking milk, or in general, is because a large portion of the population is lactose intolerant. Well, that's not always true. It's not that lactose intolerant people only come from Europe. They've literally come from, you know, Africa. So it's like trying to understand that as well. It's just like general misunderstandings and trying to correct them and try to provide, like, you know, a different look at farming, as whereas, you know, vegan rhetoric is very, like, popular in academic circles. So why can't I bring my more, I would say, balanced view into the setting as well?
Right.
So especially since one book that really kind of set me on this rage path was Jonathan Ford's Eating Animals, and I was so angry at that book that I quit reading it because I couldn't read it anymore.
Is this the one with the beautiful cover and it, like, no,
it's just big white block text on top of it, and it's like,
I think there's a different book that I've seen on a lot of people's desks these days, like, and it's called Eating Animals. I wonder.
Anyway,
maybe it's a different edition.
Yeah, maybe. But so, like, his book was very informative when it came out, and he tried to provide, you know, a balanced view of both farmers and non-farmers, and it really was still one-sided to the non-farming people.
Oh no.
Because there was this section he had where he, for research purposes, I believe, he decided to run with someone who is in PETA. And this person who was in PETA did grow up on a family farm, but no longer decided to support that for whatever reason. And they went to a turkey farm undercover to do a mercy killing on a sick bird. And I'm like, okay, fine. You know, sometimes you get sick birds, and I don't know the particular case of this one farm that he supposedly went to, so I can't judge. But then the woman that he was running with, doing this, like, nighttime raid or whatever, she pointed to the signs, the biosecurity signs on the farm, and she's like, that's like, they put those signs up because they're, like, lies. And I'm like, no, biosecurity on farms is legit a thing, because you don't know if you're carrying diseases on your feet and whatnot. They literally ask you these questions when you're traveling in airports, so it's like, what are you saying? So it's like those kind of misunderstandings. Or it's like how he framed PETA in that book, where it's like he framed PETA in this kind of light of being like, no one scares farmers more than PETA, because when PETA came onto the scene, all of a sudden you have fences and walls being put up around farms. It's being like, no, we put up fences and walls around our farms because you were trespassing on our property and potentially putting our livestock at risk. So it's like this massive misunderstanding of what PETA actually does, and like what the farmer side of actually it is. And it's like those types of things where it's like, we need to cut it and just like start over, being like, here's an actual balanced view from a person who is actually a farmer. So
Very validated rage path, it sounds like.
Oh, so much rage, so much.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that book either.
No.
There's lots of issues with it.
And it was like very weird how he wrote it too. Like constantly changing tone and style throughout it. And I'm like, can you please stay consistent?
Do you have anything to say about environmental rhetoric that talks about how eating animals is like objectively bad for the environment?
I think the way that we farm meat right now is very much unsustainable because we have this idea that we need to eat meat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That was probably some sort of propaganda push, probably by some beef lobbyist in the States somewhere. We farm animals very differently in Canada. We have quota systems for poultry, dairy, and I believe beef. Not for pigs, but then pigs is whatever, it constantly changes. So we can only have so much being produced in the country at so many times.
Sorry.
That's the point of the quota systems. Whereas, say, in the United States, it's completely different. It's like free for all. So we have way too much meat. So I can definitely agree with that. Of like, we need to have a different understanding of how we should be handling meat and following more a sustainable approach than we are right now. That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah, that's very reasonable.
Yeah. So it's like, yes, I also understand that I can critique the farming as much as you can, but not as, harshly, because I actually know what it's about. So it's like, yes, we farm way too many animals, but we need to find more sustainable ways of also being like, we need to find sustainable ways that also mean we're also not like threatening actual farmers from being evicted off their homes because they can no longer make money the way that they're farming, which is why we got out of pigs, because it was no longer sustainable economically.
I want to circle back around to games before we conclude. So I want to ask, are you a completionist? Do you consider yourself, when you pick up a game, that you want to do as much as you can? Because you mentioned kind of trophy hunting or achievement hunting, like in Halo and stuff. So like if you see a box, do you have to check the box?
Yeah. It's like, I'll take breaks every once in a while because, listen, I'm at 99.9% completion on Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's these stupid challenges. Like, there's this gambling challenge that is driving me up the wall. So when I get angry at it, I decide to quit, and I'll be like, I'll be back for you one day. But like, if there's a box, I need to check it.
So do you find that growing up on a farm do you feel like some part of that has pushed you into that?
A little bit, because when I think about, say, like, definitely, because when I think about, say, whenever I was in the tractor with my dad and watching him plow these nice straight rows, or watching the combine go down the field and sweep away the wheat, and it's like, that looks so good. It just looks so neat, especially the bales when you stack them up, and it's like, oh, it's so very, very neat and tidy. So I would definitely say yes, I'm a completionist, because it just looks so good when you like see the visual representation of what you've done in your work achievement. Yeah, I like that.
Oh, interesting connection.
So before because I believe these things came up, right? PS3, Xbox 360 era. So before, when you played, if you played earlier consoles, how did you approach games before you had achievements and trophies and stuff like that? Was it just you get through the main story and that's it? Or did you do multiple playthroughs? Did you...
Always multiple playthroughs, because I feel like there's always more that you can do. And then you can also do it at different difficulties as well.
Right.
So that was the early Halo games of being like going from like easy to medium to heroic and then
Lasso.
Legendary. Oh, Lasso.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Lasso in this household.
Lasso is legendary, all skulls on.
Which is...
Skulls are like additional modifiers, so like enemies will do more damage, you won't have a shield, you won't have a mini-map or radar, that kind of stuff.
Lasso is horrendous. I've seen playthroughs. I remember Achievement Hunter, another YouTube group, they decided to do Halo 3 Lasso. It took them 3 hours to beat the first level.
Yeah.
3 hours.
Because you can be killed by like the
and
first
it's also
grunt
like,
you see if you're
the
not
thing
careful.
is, why I'm not doing Lasso is because as soon as you're dead, restart the level. If you're playing single player.
Yeah.
If you're doing co-op, you just go back to the last checkpoint, which is why I need to hold off until I can find people who are serious about doing Lasso, because that's an achievement, and I'll probably die before I finish that achievement. But Lasso is just we never want to think about it.
So with Halo, I mean, there's some weird achievements in Halo and stuff, but I'm thinking of like the Fallout series where it's like lockpick 50 locks, or there's some really weird stuff as well in Witcher where it's like have fire, poison, and freeze, and then push them off a cliff. So are there some achievements that you see that you're like, nah, that's not worth it? Or is it literally like you'll find ways to get everything done?
I usually try to find like the quickest ones. So it's usually say like par time or par score for each level. So they'll have say like beat this level in say like 10 minutes or less. There's one level on Halo 2 which is pushing me to my limit. So I have to look up some speedrunning techniques because I can't. Like, I remember I beat it at 15:02, and I was so angry that I just decided to stop for the night.
And was the trophy, or was the achievement for like 15 minutes?
15 minutes,
Yeah,
15 minutes or less, so it's like makes me angry because I'm running this as fast as I can, usually at like easy difficulty, and yet I still can't beat it because it's like perfectly timed, and you have to wait for certain things to happen.
Is
like,
that the
gondola level?
Yeah,
that one.
This sounds like torture for me.
Like, it can be, but I've been known to just grind and just keep going until I get it.
Yeah,
so
you
it's
can
like,
find speedruns. Right?
Yeah,
people can beat the whole game in like 45 minutes.
I know, so I'm probably gonna do that because I remember I did have to look up a speedrunning technique when I was doing Halo 1 Legendary with my brother, and it's the library level.
Yes.
So it's just you and the Flood, and you're following the monitor around. Guilty spark. So then you get to this one room where you're closed in and you have to wait for the monitor to come back, and it's basically just survive. We've played that level for I think 2 hours, and then I was like, forget it, we're doing a speed run. I looked it up, and the speedrunning technique was to crouch in a corner behind like a pillar and just sit there for 5 minutes.
Yeah, that
was it. That's how you survive that part. It was the worst part because it's such a, you just get slaughtered by everything and everyone. And their suggestion was just sit there in a corner and just wait until the doors open, and that was it.
There's something similar in Reach at the end where you have to take down the ship so that whatever pillar of autumn can lift off.
Yeah.
And if you're at the turret, you die. I crouched behind it, and then as soon as Cortana or whoever it is like, hey, there's the one, you have to kill it. You just hop in. Boom, and you're done.
Yeah, no.
So yeah, it's funny how they put in little stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna keep that for later because I know I'm gonna regret Halo 2 Legendary because that's really bad. But Halo 1 Legendary was really bad, and I know Reach is gonna be really bad.
It's not that bad.
Yeah.
I feel like Reach is a little bit more forgiving than the first three.
Yeah, Halo 3 Legendary isn't too bad, but Halo 2 is pretty bad because I know they were still playing around with the mechanics and the difficulties because Halo 1 was pretty good for trying to like manage your way through like normal or heroic levels and just trying to beat down say like an elite. It got a little bit harder in general for everything in Halo 2, and then they kind of evened out for Halo 3. So yeah.
All right, well, we'll conclude with this question and we'll see how you handle it. If you could get everyone in the world to play one game, what would it be?
And I want to modify this a little bit for you too. You can also come up with a game concept.
Oh no.
That's probably more.
Oh, that's
more stressful.
So much. Oh, what game should I force people to play? It would be Halo 2. Everyone needs to know how great the story was for Halo 2. They all need to play it. They all need to see the parallelism, and they all need to know how great Halo was in the early days. Halo 2 for the win.
But would they learn about farming in doing so?
No, but I don't care. Being like, listen, I can do that anytime. They need to know how important Halo 2 was.
That's funny.
Especially in this day of Fortnite and Minecraft. Halo 2, everyone, go play it.
Well, this has been such an exciting podcast because you come in here and you're such a well-rounded person with your hobbies established, your interests established, and your passions established.
Yeah.
And it's going to be so interesting to see how you take all of this and put it together somehow, or don't put it together and just embrace.
Bundle.
Yeah, maybe you will tie it with a little bow and connect them all, or maybe it'll just remain you to be like a really excited and energetic person with these three big pillars of your life happening.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens.
All right. Well, I'll let you know what happens when it happens.
Thanks for joining us.
All right. Thanks for having me.